So there's a ton of problems on here. We don't need to do them all. I'm going to just do the evens with you. So I'm going to use this space right here. Do you remember our PEMDAS? Go ahead and write that down. This is your exponent rules. It is not new information. We've been doing the same thing for so many classes now. So when you have a power to another power, what do you do with your exponents? Good. You multiply them. You're listening here? When you're multiplying, you add your exponents, and when you're dividing, you subtract your exponents. So those are the rules. So again, we're just going to do some practice together. We're going to do all the even ones. So look at number 2. This is a power to another power. That means we're going to multiply. So you are going to write x, and then what is 4 times -3 going to give you? Multiplying. Good. Perfect. -12. And then I'm just going to copy that other part. It's just sort of there. Now we're multiplying those together. A lot of these are multiple steps. Okay. Multiplying those together. Now you can put a 1 here if you want to, if that suits you. If not, that's fine as well. When you're multiplying, 1 times 2 is just 2, or you could just be like, oh, there's just a 2 there. All right, and now we're multiplying. That means we're going to add our exponents. So put x, and we're going to add those together. -12 plus 4. Good, perfect. And then our last step, the negatives are traitors. They switch sides. So that x with the 8 is going to go down to the denominator, and it's going to look like that. The negatives switch sides. Just think negative means opposite. That's how my brain does it. Negative means opposite. They just switch sides. All right, so some of them have a few steps to them. Let's try another one. Good news, this one doesn't have any negatives, so this will be a little bit easier. First thing we're going to do is square both of these. 2 squared, that means 2 times 2 is 4. And then you also have v squared, so just put that. It's just v to the second power. And then times the second part. That second part is just there. I'm sorry, I don't have a better explanation than it's just there. Right? Now we're multiplying. 4 times 2, 8. Put v, and then when you multiply, what do you do to your exponents? Add them. 2 plus 2 is 4. Good. All right, look at number 6. I'm going to just do the numerator. We're going to multiply these together. Just don't even look at the denominator. 2 times 3, 6. Put x. There's only just an x. It doesn't combine with anything. So fine, just x. Don't make it more complicated than it is. That's all there is to that. Put y, and it'll be y to the what, do you think? Why would it be 6? Because that's correct. 3 plus 3 is 6. Very good. You're adding your exponents. And then just copy over the denominator. Again, it's kind of just there. And then we're going to reduce that. Remember playing tug of war? It's going to be like that. 6 divided by 3. 2. And you can put 2 over 1 if you want to. If you're like, nah, I don't want to write the 1, that's fine. I'm just showing it to you. It comes down to personal preference, right? Which side wins for the x's? The bottom wins by how much? 1. So you can put the 1 if you want to or not. Which side wins for y? The top by how much? Good. 6 minus 4 is 2. And then that's your answer. And again, if you don't want to write those 1s, you don't have to. Good. This is going well because you guys are listening to me. Fantastic. All right, this one, we're going to multiply this stuff in the denominator. The numerator is kind of just there. Like just copy it over. Like it's just there. We're going to multiply the denominator.
What on the back?
We're going to do all the even ones. So a total of 11 questions. You have to be able to focus with me for 11 questions, okay? And these aren't long problems. 4 times 2 is going to give you 8. Put x, and you're multiplying. So what do you want to do to your exponents? Add. Good. -1 plus 2 is 1. And you don't have to write the 1 if you don't want to, but you can. All right, and then what else is kind of just there? Like it's just there. The y. Good. Just copy that over.
I don't know what's going to choose. It's like choose right now.
Well, I usually do the number first, and then the x, and then the y.
No, I was looking at how do you know like the denominator?
Well, do you see the little dot there for multiplying? I know I need to multiply these together first before I can do anything else. Like in this one, see that little dot there in the numerator? I have to multiply those before I can do anything else. That was a good question, okay? Pick up the pen and write this down with me. Does 3/8 reduce? No, so just leave it 3/8. If you can't do anything, just don't do anything. All right, tug of war. Which side wins for X? By how much? 1. You don't need to write it if you don't want to. Which side wins for Y? The top. By how much? 1. You don't need to write the 1 if you don't want to. That's your answer. It's plain tug of war. All right, in this one, oh, did you put the pass in? Hold on one second. All right, so that 2m to the -4th is just there. Just copy that over. In the denominator, we're going to take all this stuff to the third. So we're going to take all of these to the third power. So the first one is 2 to the third. That's not 6. Okay, 2 to the third means 2 times 2 times 2. Good, 8. And then what is the rule, right, M? What is the rule for a power to a power? What are we going to do with those numbers? Perfect. Multiply. -4 times 3 is -12. All right, now we're going to kind of play tug of war. We're going to reduce it. How does 2/8 reduce? Be 1/4. Now, do you see how they're both negative? You see that? Negatives switch sides. And because they're both negative, they're both going to switch sides. So the m to the 12th comes up here. The m to the 4th goes down there. It's kind of weird because they were both negative. So they both switch. And then when you play tug of war, which side wins? The top or the bottom? When you're looking at this right here, which side has more? The top by how much? 8. Good. 12 minus 4 is 8. Perfect. All right, flip over. Leave the ones on the back. The even ones. We don't need to do them all. This is a mess of problems. All right, do you see that 2x cubed? It's kind of just there. Just recopy it. Just 2x cubed. Down here, you have a power to a power. What does that mean you're going to do? Good. -1 times 3. Perfect. Good. -3. Negatives switch sides. So these 3 are going to come up here and join those 3. Here, watch my hands. I'll hold up fingers. I know it's not going to show up in the video, but it's like you have 3 people on this team and 3 people on this team. And these 3 come over and join those 3. So now how many do you have? 6. Good. So it's going to be 2x to the 6. And if you want to put that over 1, you can. That's not necessary. But like some people like to leave it in there, so I'm just showing it to you. Oh, this one will actually be a really easy one. What is anything to the 0 power? Is 1. So that essentially goes away. And your answer is just x to the 4th, y to the 3rd. Because anything times 1 is just going to be what you started with. So anytime you see anything to the 0 power, you can kind of just get rid of that. Which is actually going to happen in this one too. Do you see that x to the 0? You can kind of cross out that x to the 0, like scribble that out. It's going to go away. So we're going to just do the rest of the problem. So first thing, we're going to have to take all of these to the -3rd. That's a little weird because it's negative. So you'll have 2 to the -3rd. And then put y, you have a power to a power. So what are you going to do with those numbers? Good. 2 times -3 is -6. And then this other part is kind of just there. This is a really weird problem. Actually, well, I'll finish this for you. I would not put one like this on a test. This is exceedingly weird. Do you see how this is just a 2 by itself? It's really 2 to the 1st. And when you're multiplying, what do you do to your exponents? Multiplying means you do what? Add. Good. So you would have, 2, and then you would add these together. -3 plus 1 would be -2. That's really weird. And then you'd have x to the 3rd, which is kind of just there. And then do the same thing with your y's. This is really a 1. When you add those together, -6 plus 1 would give you what? Negative 6 plus 1 would be negative 5. And then the last thing that's going to happen there is what happens to the negatives? The negatives do what? When you have a negative exponent, it's switch places, all right? So you're going to have that x to the third just stay where it is. These other two are going to go down to the denominator. 2 squared is 4, and then you'll have your y to the 5th. That was a tough problem, but we made it through it. That one was really weird. All right, looking at 18. Power to a power means you multiply. Negative 3 times 4 will be negative 12. And then the rest of that is kind of just there. Do you hear me saying that a lot? Like it's kind of just there and then you have to recopy it. Like math is like that a lot, is recopying what you've got. All right, and then do you see that little dot? We're multiplying. When you multiply, what do you do to your exponents? Add. Negative 12 plus 4. Negative 12 plus 4. We're adding those together. Be negative 8. Good. So do you see how both of those are negative? That means they're both going to do what? Switch. Good. The x to the third comes up to the top. The x to the eighth goes down to the bottom. The negatives are traitors. They switch sides. And then your last thing there is to kind of play tug of war with it. Which side wins in the tug of war for the x's, the top or the bottom? The bottom wins by how much? 5. Now, you know how I keep saying you can put a 1 if you want or not? Here, it's not optional. You have to put that 1 there because you can't just have a blank numerator. That's not a thing. You're not allowed to do that. All right, we got 2 more. You guys can make it. All right, look at this one. We're going to take all of this stuff to the third. 2 to the third. It's not 6. 2 to the third. Good. Perfect. Oh my gosh, you guys are awesome. 8. Power to a power means you do what? Good. 3 times 3, 9. And then for the z, 2 times 3 is 6. Perfect. You're not writing it, but you're talking to me, so I'll take it. Now these ones down here, you're multiplying. You see the little dot? When you multiply, what do you do to your exponents? Multiply means you add. All right, so for the x's, 3 and negative 4. 3 plus negative 4 be negative 1. For the y's, oh, actually, what's going on with y? Yeah, it's just 4. It's just y to the 4th because there isn't another one. And then for z, add those together. 2 plus 3 is 5. And then your last thing is you're going to do your tug of war. That 8's going to stay where it is because there's not another number. Oh, look, this one's negative. What does that mean it's going to do? Switch. So look, you have 9 people on this team, 1 person on this team, but that 1 comes over and joins them. So now total, how many are there? 10. 9 plus 1 is 10. This one came up there. All right, and then the y's, well, there's only a y to the 4th, so that's just going to stay put kind of just there. And then which side wins for z? The top. By how much? 1. And you can put the 1 if you want to or not. Good. This is going good. All right, last one. Oh, and actually, this one's not going to be too bad. Why not? What do you notice about it? What's like good about this? Yeah, that whole thing is to the 0. So what does that give you for the numerator? 1 over all of the rest of this. Just write it down. We're going to have one more step. And then all those negatives are going to do what? What do the negatives do? I'm not going to approve that if you don't write this down with me because that's rude. What are the negatives going to do? They're going to switch. So that h to the 3rd comes up to the top. The j to the 4th comes up to the top. And the k squared comes up to the top. That 2 stays where it is because it's kind of just there. Kind of just there. Okay, so the negatives switch sides.